in the U.S. military staffing in Afghanistan, that the Green Beret units, the 5th Special Forces Group, for the most part were being pulled out to refit and get ready for Iraq. And it was clear that the kind of guys that I think a lot of us believed were essential, U.S. military personnel with special operations capabilities, were being pulled away.
By 2002, in the springtime, it was almost taken for granted that we were going to go to war with Iraq.
The president needed a convincing reason for war with Saddam Hussein. George Tenet and the CIA said they had no evidence Saddam had helped al-Qaeda, but Secretary Rumsfeld did. A secret unit at the Pentagon claimed it had found a connection.
They needed an office that would produce the intelligence that the CIA wouldn't produce. Rumsfeld said, "I can solve your problem," and they created the Office of Special Plans.
So they're going to do their own analysis, and they're going to show that what the CIA has been missing all along about the true relationship between Saddam and al-Qaeda.
They worked in a vault deep inside the Pentagon. They had what is known as all-source clearances, total access to intelligence information.
I went into the system, our classified system, to see what did we know about terrorist groups and the relationships, as well as their connection and associations with not only al-Qaeda, but also with state sponsors.
The information was rarely vetted. Instead, it moved up the chain of command to the office of the vice president.
And this became material that was then used sort of in white paper-like fashion to be leaked to journalists or to create links between Saddam Hussein and al-Qaeda.
It was delivered to the American public and the world.
Information has come to light. We've spent time looking at that relationship between Iraq on the one hand and the al-Qaeda organization on the other. And there has been reporting that suggests that there have been a number of contacts over the years.
And they began relying on a new phrase, weapons of mass destruction.
Nuclear weapon. But we don't want the smoking gun to be a mushroom cloud.
Leaving Saddam Hussein in possession of weapons of mass destruction for a few more months or years is not an option. Not in a post-September 11th world.
Rapid series of 40 explosions lit up Baghdad in the early morning hours.
Military officials have been using the term shock and awe to describe the assault on Iraq.
By the spring of 2003, the U.S. had attacked Iraq. Fast and mobile, Rumsfeld's JSOC teams secretly paved the way.
Reported to be about 30 miles from the outskirts of
Fighting a conventional war unconventionally seemed at first to work.
Scenes of free Iraqis celebrating in the streets, riding American tanks, tearing down the statues of Saddam Hussein in the center of Baghdad are breathtaking.
On September the 11th, 2001, our freedom and way of life came under attack by brutal enemies who killed nearly 3,000 innocent Americans.
On the night of 9/11, the CIA had planned a secret war abroad.
Since September the 11th, we've been on the offensive against the terrorists plotting within our borders.
At home, another front had been opened. The battle to protect the American homeland.
We had to move from proving what happened to preventing something from happening because the costs that came with a mass destruction event like 9/11, we can't allow that.
The president asked the nation's largest and most secret intelligence agency to step forward.
A couple weeks into the war, we were asked, is there anything more we can do to defend the homeland?
At that time, Michael Hayden ran the National Security Agency, the NSA.
We began a conversation with the vice president and then with the president, saying that here are some additional things we could do, but we cannot do them because we do not currently have authorities to do them. That was the basis of the evolution of what became the terrorist surveillance program.
The terrorist surveillance program authorized the NSA to intercept certain telephone calls and emails of American citizens without a warrant.
It clearly was atypical when it came to where the traditional boundaries of the National Security Agency had been, when it came to communications, one end of which was in the United States. That was a change.
Nobody was in a mood to say, well, wait a minute, are you infringing on privacy? You know, privacy versus another 9/11 attack. There was no real question about what was going to win over that.
From inside their secure Maryland headquarters, the NSA was now focused on trying to prevent the next terrorist attack.
I began to lay out to the people of NSA what our mission had become. And it was clear it was going to be counterterrorism. I said we would be shifting over to the offense and that we would be an integral part of that offensive move.
The NSA created a global electronic dragnet, capable of reaching into America's communication networks, capturing 1.7 billion intercepts every day.
The National Security Agency has a huge vacuum cleaner around the world, and it is sucking down information from computer networks, from radios, from telephone calls, all over the world. So much information that no human being could ever go through it on a daily basis.
Other basic challenge is in sorting through the huge volume of information. The analogy is not so much a needle in a haystack, it's a needle in a stack of needles.
But finding the exact needle would take manpower, lots of it, and in a hurry. The NSA turned to a new force in the covert war, private contractors.
You had this boom in the corporate intelligence world as well. Companies like CACI, Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, just all the old-fashioned industrial, we're building ships and submarines type corporations quickly moved into the intelligence and information space.
The NSA spent billions of dollars on more than 480 private companies. Michael Hayden led the effort in the days right after 9/11.
I did it at NSA, George did it at CIA, we all did it. It was a way to go out there and to get these capabilities into the flow infinitely more quickly than you would have been able to do had you gone through the government personnel system.
In office parks near the NSA, thousands of private contractors, many making much more money than federal employees, helped digest data.
This war was not a war that required a lot of tanks, a lot of fighter jets. It required information, and information flows in a different way and is analyzed by machines.
Exactly how much money the NSA was spending in the years after 9/11 is one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. The agency's budget, like its work, is a state secret.
Well, have you actually looked at this building on a satellite map yet? No. It's gigantic. I mean, it's
In Vermont, a reporter and former defense analyst, William Arkin, spent years trying to track the post-9/11 growth of America's hidden intelligence world.
It's a government organization. It shows up nowhere. It's in a pizza parlor. It looks like it's a cover address. There's no defense organization there. I'll have to go look at it, or you'll have to go look at it.
Okay.
Working with Dana Priest, the two would do what no one else had done: identify one by one the buildings and companies in what they called Top Secret America.
Defense policy analysis, the Defense Program Support, Asymmetric Warfare Group, Project 7, Special Security Organization, CIA and FBI and NSA and all the other agencies. It took me about a year to complete a decent catalog of the government entities and corporate entities that work in this world.
They discovered they were the only people in the country collecting such detailed information. The only way they could verify any of it was to go there in person. Hundreds of secret locations hiding in plain sight in office parks.
This is a gate to the NSA?
Yeah, there's a government facility back in there. You'll see it better after we turn down this road.
Inside buildings like these, they launch drone strikes, gather and spread secret information, engage in cyber conflict,
Titan in here, CSC is in one of these buildings, General Dynamics.